Yes, my people. So we're gonna make some muffins. Um, these are my large muffin tins. I got a set of two here. It's gonna give me 12 muffins. I'm gonna be using oats. I'm gonna put this in the processor and grind it down a bit. Not as thick. 2 cups of oats here. I got me a cup of flaxseed. Them omegas. I got me basically 2 cups of almond flour. I'm gonna be using these bananas to make sure that they don't end up in the garbage. Maybe 2 eggs, some cran raisins, they call them, dried cranberries. In here I got I got me a tablespoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, and we got our good old vanilla going on right here. Yeah, so we're gonna get this show on the road, and we'll see how it goes. Right now, we're just gonna move the tins out of the way for a second. All right. Okay. Yeah. So we've been seeing how the week has progressed in the political space, and one of the things we're noticing. Just 1 second there. All right, so here's our oatmeal. Right, kind of make a oatmeal flour kind of thing, right? All right, so we're gonna be start adding our ingredients. So back to this whole thing with in the political space. So this past week, see a number of things taking place. We had the whole issue of with George Davis releasing some information to tell us that hey, you had some people who looked like they were planning to disrupt the whole business of the Prime Minister's swearing in. And I guess because that news came out, it disrupted what people had in mind. And so those things didn't take place. And the swearing in, it went off pretty smoothly. We did, of course, have that issue of Mark Golding deciding that, he was not going to stand when the Prime Minister was making his entrance, and when he was, making his speech, and we had Tony Patel come along and let us know that, listen, there's a protocol for these things, huh? There's a protocol. And for the people who don't understand how these protocol things work, he's like saying, listen, maybe Mark Golding need to sit down with the protocol officer at King's House and find out these things. But in my opinion, I don't think that Mark Golding didn't know. Mark Golding has a certain disregard for the Prime Minister. And once again, see the Prime Minister offering this olive branch to the opposition. But in my opinion, I don't think that all of that makes any difference where the opposition is concerned, because I don't think the opposition cares one bit. I don't think they wish to deal with anything related to being civil. I personally think that it is their plan, and now that they have larger numbers, it is their plan to really just disrupt. You know, that I think is what is their main focus. That they don't have no plans to do anything else but disrupt. Right? Now, question is, what is the government going to do? In my opinion, the government just needs to lead. And so here came the opposition again with their next salvo, claiming that they want to basically dictate who is going to be the Speaker of the House. Which again, you know, it's clearly pointed out in the Constitution how it is that you go about electing the Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House is elected after a nomination and a vote. A simple majority is what makes it work. Okay, so these guys coming along and acting as if though, you know, they are going to call the shots, and then, you know, act as if though like, hey, we should be able to have some say on this whole business, is somewhat childish. Huh? But you see, again, they're the PNP once again seeking relevance, right? Relevance because, truth is, they've been rejected at the polls, and they would like to act as if though they have some kind of say. No, they're in opposition, and they'll do what oppositions do: oppose. I believe it was Juan Gonzalez who, in an interview, and I've searched and searched to find this interview to play it in his own words, where Ralph Gonzalez was basically saying that in this Westminster style government, the only thing that governments do, or oppositions do, is seek to be in government. You know, that's their plan. That's what they want. They're not seeking to help the government to remain in government. And until people recognize that, we're gonna continue down this road of thinking that there should be civility. Politics is the distribution of scarce resources. And when there are plenty of resources, the idea is how to finish it. Right? That's what they do. That's what they do. Right? They're not trying anything else. Right? They only want to get into government. And they're talking about, oh yes, so you know, next go around, this is what we are proposing to do, right? And it's all well and good, no problems with that. So what the government needs to do is simply focus on leading. Focus on leading. Forget about these guys and what they are attempting to do, right? Just focus on leading, right? Because they're not gonna help. They're going to look for every which way in which they can disrupt the process, right? And they don't know much better, and I don't give them much credit for anything else. So everybody is also making this big issue about Mr. Warmington walking out of the parliament after being sworn in. Look here, let us be sensible. This is not Warmington's first rodeo, okay? Mr. Warmington probably had some other things to do. No, one might say, well, he should be there to support the Prime Minister. Well, that's one way of looking at it. But if we go back and look at Mr. Warmington, we will see that he said he was going to basically retire. However, he was going to run one more time to see to it that the Prime Minister gets the third term. Mr. Warmington did just that. And he's gone off now to do his business, right? This is what he's about. Okay? He said he's going to basically go do his own thing. Again, then there are those people who are saying, oh, how is it that he didn't get a ministry? Okay, let us not forget now. Mr. Warmington did say he was basically done. Why is it that we keep trying to drag him back? He has done as much as he can, right? And as he gets older, his patience is going to wear thin. Now, unless you want Mr. Warmington to be waging a war inside the parliament, I would say let Mr. Warmington stay just where he is. Okay? Leave the man alone. Let him be. Okay? And stop making a fuss about these things. Right? Warming has done his part. I don't think anybody else got more votes than Mr. Warmington. And yes, we know that everybody wants to know that. Yeah. It would be good if Warming was there in a ministry. But then again, all it does is give the media, fodder, things to make a noise about. Let Mr. Warmington be, man. You might have heard the kettle go off a minute ago. I was here making myself some tea. Like I said, early morning, See if we can get the frog out of the throat a little bit. Right, so that was that issue. And PNP, of course, Charlemagne, the people just running around. Oh. Yeah, look at Warmy disrespect the Prime Minister. Warmy, listen. Warmy didn't do any such thing. He came there to be sworn in. There was no business to be attended to. He did his part. And he was out. Mic drop. What part of that none get? Huh? Seriously. What part of the mic drop didn't you guys get? Right? I mean, the style of Warmy is just as such, right? Now, if the Prime Minister don't understand Warmy by now, that would be problematic. But I'm sure the Prime Minister understands Warmy. And Warmy did what he was supposed to do. Okay? So, here it is, we have the members having been sworn in, and just presetting the oven here, putting it at about, I'd say about 350. Yeah, 350. Right? Yeah, so they're all sworn in, and basically, you know, everybody who was there in the first war, they got by this, right? And that is all well and good. They all got by their seats. No member of parliament have lost their seat. And that's a fabulous thing. Fabulous thing. Happy to see it go down like that. Right? Now, we had one casualty, which was Norman Dunn. Oh, folks, I think I did forget to mention about my good old butter. You know, butter is good in everything. I'd say, well, this butter look frozen. That's why we have heat. I gotta melt it down fast. Again, this is just how I do it. You understand me? This is my style. You know, tell you the truth, I've never done a recipe exactly the way that recipe is laid out. I always just do my own thing. Add things to it that wasn't part of it, etc. Right? Yeah. So so back to the business of the members. So the members are there, and everybody been sworn in. There have been no real changes. We have a couple people getting promotions. Rhoda is background a teacher. It makes sense that Rhoda Crawford goes to the Ministry of Education because she can give that insight, and it's a good choice to do that because Dana Dixon is coming from the private sector, so she needs somebody who can give her some insight as to how these teachers think, get in their brain, see what they're about. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing is we're gonna add some nuts too, some mixed nuts, some mixed unsalted nuts. I'm gonna basically crush them and add them to what I'm doing here. Yeah, so that's good. Then we have also Tova. She did an excellent job beating off Wickham. Poor Wickham. Poor Wickham. Guys sometimes don't know what to think about Wickham. But anyway, Wickham has now been properly retired. May he enjoy it. Right? May he enjoy his well-earned retirement. We thought we were retiring before, but for some strange reason, he felt he needed to come back. I'm looking for something. Not where it normally is. Of course, tells you that, now we spent X amount of time in the kitchen. Right? Yes, so Wickham is now properly retired. And that found it. And that is excellent. Right? No more need for Wickham. Thought he was going to be context of tourism, to just what? Enjoy what it is that that Edmund Bartlett has created? No, definitely not. Definitely not. I'm not gonna tolerate that at all. And then we see also Karen's here working with Brazil. It makes a lot of sense. Karen's here did a fabulous job on the campaign trail, coordinating and even putting out a tune, which I find pretty pretty melody. That I think was great. So Karen's here shows that she has lots of organization ability. She knows to deal with artists and so on. So yes, going to be the state minister in Ministry of Culture, Entertainment, Gender Affairs, and all that roles. That's a great addition. Andrew Wheatley is back in the cabinet, which is a good thing. He's been in the wilderness for what, 7 years? Lost his job over some stupid toxic charity and the stupid IC having gone through and made such a big fuss about this business, only to come away and say that there was no corruption involved. But the Prime Minister didn't want him as a distraction, and he's Deputy General Secretary. So we know that the party's machinery is in good hands. He won his seat also handsomely. I mean, one could not ask for a better win. You know, yeah, he won his seat handsomely. And Bobby is back. Bobby Montague is back in the cabinet, which is also a great thing. Because we need Bobby, you know. We're gonna take out, gonna scoop out the bigger pieces. I don't know. The almonds are a little bit stubborn. As well as I might just leave them in there, you know. Yeah. A little surprise. Yeah. Right. Yeah, let's just leave them in there. Again, like I said, this is my thing. I'm doing it. So any of it anyway. So I'm gonna need to be overly concerned about what I'm doing right here. All right. Yes. Let's see. Did I leave out anybody who got a promotion? Crystal Lee, right? Crystal Lee. She's gonna go. She's also gonna be a state minister, right? And so, you know, most of the people, and again, these are people who have, well, in the case of Tova, she won what was a PNP seat. She retained it, right? And also there was there, oven's ready. And also there was person. Crystal Lee, she retained what was previously a PNP seat as well. So, you know, what we're seeing is that these candidates have done well, you know, quite proud of their efforts. You know, they did well. Right. So, okay. So there's one thing I'm doing here that I'm not gonna add the butter to this liquid mixture here because the butter is on the hot side of things, and I do not want it to cook the eggs, right? So I'm gonna put that in later. I'm also probably going to use some almond milk to bring down the batter at a certain point. Yeah. Yes, people. So let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. All right. Here we go. Yeah. So going forward, I think the government needs to focus on those 35 seats we have. We said this before. All right, for those of you who didn't hear, but I'll repeat it. I think the government needs to focus on the 35 seats and let the other 28 seats, they get the general things, but let them see what it is like when you have a GLP member of parliament who is working. Right? That's what we need for people to see. What it is like when you have a GLP member of parliament who is working. All at once. Right, just to kind of build liquid. And feel free to drop in the comments what you don't like about my process here. Yeah, I'm not going to take offense. But so when, when we eat in the kitchen, this is how we do it. We just rub up something. You know the term that? Yeah, we just rub up something. Yeah. So basically, that's what we're doing. Just rub up some muffins. Muffin thing, right? Yeah, and then now So one of the other things that came to mind as we talk about this digital thing that we're doing, right? One of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that all our communication features are working. So for instance, I went to the page, OPM page, and I noticed that these things need to be updated. You know, these things need to be updated at the time when these things take place, and not let it be an afterthought. People are getting paid good money. They need to do their jobs, man. Right? They need to do their jobs. People getting paid to manage these websites. We're in a digital age now. This is where people go for information. All the things that we're talking about, that they talk about, all the initiatives and etc. Yeah. They need to make sure that these things are being updated. These pages need to be updated. Okay? Supposed to have the current ministers and all of those things. Right? People supposed to get the information that they need. Right? And another thing I was thinking about is now that we have, you know, let me use a measuring cup so that I know exactly how much milk I'm working with here. There we go. There it is. Grab our measuring cup, give it a little rinse. Yeah. Alright. Okay, so I'll put in about let's go with a quarter cup. Yeah, let's go with a quarter cup first. We're not really advertising nobody things, so I give me permission for that and them not pay feet, so okay. Let's go with quarter cup first. And if we need more, we add it. Alright. Yeah, I was thinking about this other thing where how are we outside of Jamaica going to benefit? How can we capitalize on this whole prosperity thing? How can we capitalize on the prosperity that is taking place? That's why things because we don't want to just be onlookers. We want to be a part of it. Right? We want to be part of it. How do we capitalize? That is one of the questions that we need to answer. Right? What is it that we can do as a people in the diaspora? Do we form some kind of cooperatives? What exactly? I'm going to use some agave. Natural sweetener, and what they call low glycemic index, whatever that means. I'll leave that to the rest of you to figure out. That's to kind of bring up the sweetness up a bit. Yeah, that should do it. Right. So what are we going to do how are we going to capitalize on this whole business? Oh, let me add one more thing here. So if you notice all the ingredients that I've added to this, you see, most of these ingredients don't really require cooking, with the exception of the eggs. And eggs don't take a long time to cook. So, with that in mind, I need for this to have a somewhat thick texture, right? Let me grease these up. Gonna use some coconut oil, and grease these up. Get me a spatula. Get my coconut oil. It's pretty warm. Yeah, how can we, and this is the conversation that I want us to continue to have, how can we, create opportunity? I keep remembering this thing with back in the day we used to run partner. And partner was the thing that we used to use to achieve many of our objectives, but I'm trying to think of a new spin on this partner thing, where you put in an amount you can afford. It's kind of like buying shares in a company, and investments are done, especially in the era of agriculture, because one thing is people must eat, right? And as Albin has told us many times, is that we have to export. Exporting, we need to do more exporting. And so, what if we were to do something like that? I mean, drop it in the comments. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you think this could work. All right, so I'm gonna get these things in, right? And all right, so I try not to make too much mess. And if we have anything leave over, we have more tin in, so I'm not really too worried about that. Yeah, tell me in the comments how you think we can do something, where we can build and benefit, and at the same time help to solve the food problem. Do we invest in a farm? Because as crime decreases and people are more active doing their own thing, not sitting around with an handout, waiting on you to plant your thing to reap it, but more so because everybody have their own opportunity. Everybody's going after their prize, you know. We may see where you have your farm and nobody no need to trouble your farm because them busy to feed them thing, you know, and you can grow your crops. You're not fair worry about pretty larceny. Things like, yes, when everybody have, you know, there is less desire to take what is another person's because everybody is busy doing their thing. No, they don't get it too bad with the measurements. Seem to have gotten most of it too. Yeah. 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 So drop in the comments and tell me what you think. How you think we can move forward. How we can use little people money and do big things. Because that's what we need. That's what we need as a country. You know, as we know, it is lots of small businesses that hire a lot of people. And so we should be looking at ways in which we can do this. So here we go, people. Yep, we'll put them in the oven. 25 minutes or so. I'll set my timer. Yep. Alright, so I'll show you the final product.